welcome to Climate Fact File, your go-to program for the hard facts, clear insights, and actionable solutions on climate change and its impact on our world. I am Magnus Onuoha, your host and guide on this journey to understanding the challenges we face and the opportunities we have to create a sustainable future. And together we'll unpack the science and explore practical steps we can all take to protect our planet. It's not just about the headlines, it's about making a difference. So let's dive in.
Your guide to the science, stories, and solutions of climate change. Join Climate Fact File and be part of the change. Every Wednesday from 11 a.m. on the People's 105.5 FM, Abuja.
It's still Climate Fact File, and on this program we tackle the realities of climate change and what they mean for you, for me, and our shared future. And today we're starting with a topic that affects every one of us. We're looking at balancing energy demand and climate action. You see, climate change isn't just about distant weather issues, it's part of it, but it's also about the here and now, how rising temperatures, unpredictable rains, and environmental shifts are affecting our farms, our water supplies, our cities, and even down to our health. And for a country like Nigeria, the effect hits differently. It's coming even close to home. We can see floodings in unexpected areas, desert encroachment in the north, and coastal erosion threatening livelihoods in some parts of the country. But here's the thing. Climate change isn't just a challenge. It's an opportunity, a chance to rethink how we live, how we work, and how we can grow effectively, from renewable energy to green jobs. So there's so much potential to build a better, more resilient Nigeria and a better world. So let's get into it. So today, like I said, we're going to be discussing the topic balancing energy demand and climate action. Now, I won't be doing this alone because we have an amazing guest in the studio who is an expert in the issue of climate change area. We have with me Professor Magnus Onuoha, who is the President, Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association Alliance. Great to have you in the studio here today, sir.
Thank you, Ify, once again for having me.
Yeah, thank you, sir. All right, you also listening can join the conversation on social media. We are at People's 105.5 FM, and you can join the program via telephone line on 0911 222 1055, and on WhatsApp you can actually send in your messages to 0911 112 1055. Now we're moving to Climate Countdown, where we'll explore some of the pressing issues of our times regarding to climate issues. So this is the news on climate change.
We inform, we educate, we entertain. We are the People's 105.5 FM, Abuja.
Now for the headlines. Stakeholders unite in Enugu to advance climate resilience and local adaptation plans. University of Plymouth partners with Unical for climate action. Northern Ireland targets 77% emissions cut by 2040 with new climate law. Stakeholders from civil society groups, government, and international partners gathered in Enugu State for a review of a local adaptation plan of action aimed at building community resilience to climate change. The meeting, themed Climate Action for Stronger Nigeria, highlighted findings from community dialogues and emphasized inclusive participation from grassroots communities and state agencies. The Enugu State Ministry of Environment pledged full support for the outcomes to ensure environmental sustainability and public ownership of climate policies. The University of Plymouth in England has partnered with the University of Calabar to improve water and land management as part of its effort to mitigate climate change. Professor William Blake of the University of Plymouth emphasized that the collaboration will focus on soil health, climate-smart agriculture, and sustainable environmental management. The partnership also aims to enhance research, address food security, and support local livelihoods in riverine areas like Calabar. The Northern Ireland Assembly has approved a law to cut emission by 77% by 2040, aligning with the Climate Change Committee's recommendations. The Agricultural Minister, Andrew Muir, says the plan, which includes carbon budget, sets the region on a path to net zero while opening doors for green energy investment, jobs and increased energy security in Ireland. He emphasized that embracing green growth will strengthen Northern Ireland's global competitiveness and economic opportunities. And that's it on the news around climate issues in the world. So, Doctor, I want you to react to the news of the partnership between University of Plymouth, and the collaboration is to improve water and land management as part of its effort to mitigate climate change. How is this progressive for us as a nation?
Okay, thank you. Before then, I will react first of all to the adaptation. The locally led adaptation plan by Enugu State. Very interesting, because now
Enugu State,
we are looking at development of there are individual technologies that need to be brought to the fore, and so that it will be very, very helpful in the coping system. What is adaptation? Is that climate change has come to stay with us, so we need to cope. The adaptation and coping mechanisms. So it's good to see stakeholders coming in how to build resilience within their community. So very good. I need to see that report. But it's very important. There are so many local adaptations, like rainwater harvesting. People are doing a whole lot of things in the village to ensure that, they live within that the reality of climate change. Very interesting. That partnership with Plymouth, very interesting. It's going to show that management, land management, shows that climate smart agriculture is the in thing now. Greenhouse, that's talk about greenhouse farming. Instead of having a large mechanized farming, they can use in your small room and do drip irrigation. You can even grow cassava to that greenhouse farming, and the productivity will start to be enhanced. So this is no longer the time when you go and do deforestation, do mechanized 1,000 hectares. So with 1 hectare of farm can feed the community. So that's land management. So it's interesting. So I know
everyone can start also.
Absolutely. Like in my household now, I have started using those small seedlings now. I'm putting it right in my house.
Amazing.
And I'm planting lettuce and all that. So that's conservation. That's what we call greenhouse farming. So it's interesting. And that's the climate smart agriculture.
Amazing.
This climate smart that tells you that the waste is the wealth. Even the organic farming, the waste from the ranch or from the cattle and all that can be used as a manure. For that, because you don't go and import chemical manure. Organic manure will not be used in the process. It's a natural process. We need to see more of that relationship, partnership. But greenhouse farming, that's the climate smart agriculture, is the way to go right now.
Amazing.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. So this is a call for everyone listening. We need to embrace smart farming and ensure that we embrace the practice of planting what we actually eat.
Absolutely.
I think there was a period sometime this year when the cost of things like pepper, tomato was really very high. I had a guest who was an agriculturist, and she was encouraging people to plant, and I actually went to practice, what she actually said. It was quite amazing how you plant something and then you come back in a few days and it's already, springing up and all like that.
I wish I'll show you a video of my household now. But in my household, I plant lettuce, I planted, I don't need to pumpkin. I don't need to go to the market.
Even pumpkin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So it's a smart way. In fact, we have to, there's an engineer technology where reptiles, somebody advised me, we have to use plank and all that to cut us out. No reptiles cannot, lizard cannot come and stop. Encroach. So you see, and I can see my pumpkin just coming up naturally.
Wow.
So that's engineer technology. The adaptation technology we discussed earlier. It's amazing.
And this thing is really very expensive in the market if you want to buy.
Yeah, but you can see with knowledge and saving cost. It's a matter of we have failed to leave the status quo. This is a new thinking. The secular green or blue or guy is a new thinking that you need to live light. Live light.
Amazing. I like that phrase.
Live light.
Great. All right, so it's still Climate Fact File, and we've come to the segment where we'll go to the streets. It's time for Climate Voices, where we hit the street to hear what regular people know and think about climate change, from the young to the elderly. We gather voices from all walks of life to understand how climate issues resonate with the everyday Nigerian. And the questions we're asking them on the streets for this program today is, what are your thoughts on the use of renewable energy like solar and wind power in Nigeria? All right, let's hear the voice of the streets.
They are the most cheapest source of energy in Nigeria for today. That is, even when the power has been exhausted, the night can be renewed naturally when this breaks by the sun. So the wind energy is the kind of energy be powered by the solar. That is, when it gets exhausted that night, the next night you might still use it because it's already been powered by the sun.
Comparing both electricity energy, the supply of electricity in Nigeria, and the cost as it stands now, as an individual, I prefer solar energy, mostly solar energy, because once the panels have been fixed, you purchase them, you fix them, and they are being maintained well. They serve for a long time. Now check the cost of paying electricity bill that you are not even seeing the electricity supply, and then comparing it. What if some of the items you had in your houses are things that are perishable and you are depending on electricity supply? They can get spoiled, but the safety is just to involve yourself with this solar energy.
The wind energy and solar energy, they are the two renewable energy in Nigeria. You can use the wind energy artificially by connecting the solar energy to the wind energy and doing some things there. And the two renewable energy in Nigeria are less expensive, unlike the mechanical energy and electrical energy. They are useful in Nigeria and they are good source of energy in Nigeria.
We don't pay to get solar energy. We don't pay to get wind energy. The only, the only time money comes in is during their process of harnessing, transforming them into practical use. So when solar energy is converted into practical use, it can supplant or substitute the direct use of electricity at home.
We're back and it's still Climate Fact File. We just got back from the street. Those are the voices of regular Nigerians, and they're answering the questions. What are your thoughts on the use of renewable energy like solar and wind power in Nigeria? Doctor, being someone who has been in the energy space for a while now, what would you say the reactions of Nigeria has been? Has it been impressive? We're still coming to the part of the interview, but just to, feel the impulse of, the regular Nigerian, how have we embraced renewable energy so far?
Yeah, there's a consciousness, and people are beginning to see the need, to go to think green, to invest in renewable energy. From the look of things, you can see many people are having solar home system. People are showing the consciousness of street lights, solar street lights.
Yeah.
Like in my community now, they have the contribution to have a solar street light along the community. So that consciousness is there, so to speak. That means that we want to think green, and given the fact that the grid system is not reliable, they are so collapsed. So communities are coming together to have a mini grid, so that you upgrade mini grid using solar and all whatnot. So that is the trajectory. That is the direction. So it's interesting that people are beginning to. This unlike what happened 10 years ago. When what is solar, they will tell you that it doesn't work. Solar is just the brain, it doesn't work. But now you can see. But apparently why it must work is that you must have the capacity to do it. It's not just an all-commerce affair. I don't want to mention people. I will do it to our brother. They'll just go to China and bring. I don't have the knowledge. So but right now you follow the process. If you have the capacity to deploy, why not? It's a renewable resource. It's replaceable. So you can see when you follow the method, and of course, even there are payment plans now.
Exactly.
That is payment plan that is encouraging banks that come.
Exactly. I was going to say that because I received.
Let me make sure Access Bank, for I know, my alliance is having a partnership with Access Bank. I'm talking about Access Bank, a bank that has shown interest in this movement. So we're partnering with them on how to drive capacity across the banking by next year, 2025.
Amazing.
And it's something that other banks must create. And all that.
Honestly, and I feel like some financial institutions are now embracing the ideology of giving loans for people who really want to do this, and they go to install and then they pay gradually, and even options of, I think they're now very cheaper ones, because when you hear solar, I think a lot of Nigerians feel, oh, this is very expensive, but I think there are now portable ones and more affordable ones for especially people in rural communities. It's really amazing that.
Let me come to the loan. We're talking about the soft loan, not the loan that has 20-25%. Of course, a loan that, because any person that is into this business, renewable energy, is about mitigation action. Apart from the profit motive of the business, there's also the environmental motive. You're trying to protect the environment as well as the social component in terms of job creation, livelihood building. For 1 million of solar you deploy, over 3,000 jobs in the future. So so the loan we are looking at now, that's what we're looking at banks. Let's have a single digit loan, and that's what most of these things, like the payment plan. That's in fact, if there are grant facilities, it will help. Because commercial loan, if you are an investor in this trend, you go to commercial loan, it will not be sustainable. So people are looking at the grant facilities, the climate finance window that will let them document. That's what we're even looking at with Access Bank and other banks too. So that the burden of investment will not be on the investor, so to speak. But the most important thing that people are beginning to understand, there are this in the call sustainable banking principle from National Capital Coalition 2012. And many countries have said that sustainable banking principle about beyond the profit you are making. There's also what's your environmental integrity. What are the social components of your business?
Like a corporate social responsibility.
Yeah, we call it corporate sustainability. Corporate social is not social, but it does not take care of the environmental issues. So we call it a corporate sustainability profile. But that's what is happening right now. It's a good news that banks are beginning to appreciate it. They are thinking long. It's a long-term project, not a short-term business cycle. So it's interesting. We are discussing with them, and not that Access Bank is the only one, but it's the only one that has come to us to say, yeah, I want to do this. It's interesting. For other banks, we're keen and all that, but it's something that that we're discussing. And last week, I was invited by a commandant of Nigerian Business Academy and the Solar Energy Society in Kaduna. I delivered a speech on renewable energy, and wow, it was that consciousness is there, and they have 2.5 megawatts solar they have deployed. Amazing. And it was built by Royal Intelligence, and I will show that consciousness. Look, the moment people get into this, the other, what to call opportunities that will come by investing in this. So there are so many opportunities.
Amazing. Wow, this is great. All right, we're discussing balancing energy demand and climate action. And you just heard the voice of Professor Magnus Onuoha, who is the President, Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association Alliance. Remember that you can join the conversation on our social media platforms at People's 105.5 FM, and you can also send in your messages to join the contribution. Let's hear what you think. And if you're listening, we took the voice of the streets. Actually, we heard what people on the streets giving their thoughts on the use of renewable energy like solar, wind power in Nigeria. What do you think about this? Send in your contribution via WhatsApp on 0911 112 1055. And to keep the conversation going, on X, I am Ify at Ify Inspires on X. We're going to take a music break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Welcome back. It's still Climate Fact File here on People's 105.5 FM, and we're discussing balancing energy demand and climate action. We have in the studio here with me Professor Magnus Onuoha. He's the President, Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association Alliance, and he's the voice you've been hearing. He's an expert on climate-related issues, energy issues, and that's why we have him here to interact with us and to answer some questions that is on our mind right now. I want you to tell us, Doctor, the current state of Nigeria's energy mix and how, it contributes to climate change. What is the current state of Nigeria's energy mix?
Okay, there are three sources of energy. One is the non-renewable resources, sources that are presented by the fossil fuel. That's coal and oil and gas.
That's right.
And of course, there are renewable energy sources, solar, wind, biomass, and hydropower, as the case may be.
Yes, sir.
Now, what's the nexus between energy and the climate change or climate action? Energy is the fulcrum, the engine room of productivity. And within the context of that now, 62% of emission comes from energy sources. 62% of the emission comes from energy sources of this fossil fuel, especially from coal, oil, and gas.
Yeah.
Whereas the other 38% of the emission come from environmental issues like transport, logistics, leakages, and all that, fugitive emissions, and all that. Okay, so that's why energy is very critical. For us to address climate change, you also put in technology that will make us to reduce the emission. And that's where the decarbonization technology comes in. If we are to continue within Nigeria's energy mix, oil and gas is very relevant, but it must be clean. It must be clean. Have a technology that you now do what you call gas gathering. You must make sure remove that pollution, that emission at source. Okay, so make it clean. That's why we brought in natural gas as a transitional fuel that can finance the future. In Glasgow 2021, COP21, COP26, as the case may be. So we brought in that's for that. Then we are looking for alternatives because anything we used to use reduce the emission. That's climate action. Across sectors. So the alternative now is renewables. Where you talk about winds, for 1 megawatt of solar here, you have saved substance XYZ amount of CO2. It's a clean energy. Okay, any person driving renewables, you are making some mitigation action.
Yes, that's
something that will make it to reduce emission in the environment. That's climate action. I'm confining myself with the sector of energy. But there are other sectors like agriculture, industry, waste and all that. But within the energy sector, that's what I want to provide for you to know. 62% of production coming from energy emission comes from the energy system, and it's oil and gas. That's what everybody's talking about. How do we reduce this? So the best thing to do is to ensure that in the process of exploring and exploiting oil and gas, the technology must be clean. That's why we have what we call carbon capture sequestration technology, CCS technology. It's evolving, it's being developed now. Instead of you to flare gas, you sequester gas. So flare gas is that you go to Greenland and all that because of soot phenomenon. So it's a problem. That's what this climate action, it leads to a whole degradation of the environment. Okay, moving forward, in our energy mix, we now begin to look at how to develop a decarbonized technology for oil and gas. It's a resource that can deplete.
That's right.
It has a lifespan. If you Google Wikipedia, lifespan of Nigerian oil is 45 years. Okay, whereas some of our developed clients, like lifespan of Canadian oil is 118 years and American oil 112 years because they have a reserve. We don't have reserve. They have strategic reserve. So because while they are reserving this, they're also developing the alternative, which is the renewable energy source. So we need to develop strategic reserves for us to keep this, develop technology, carbon sequestration technology, for us to be relevant in our current climate discussion, and for us to also assess the climate financing. If we are going to do it within the state of the way we are doing it, we cannot. So we need to move into green thinking in the oil and gas. And then, of course, develop the renewable energy source, which is vast, so to speak. So you need to look at renewable with all amount of, be intentional about development of renewable energy source. Because why I say the intentional, political factors, there are some of these politicians that they want the status quo to remain because they make a lot of money from the oil and gas and all that. I can see the controversy between Dangote and the refinery of Dangote, and now going to set up revive the particular refinery and using government subsidy and all that. These are some of the things what we call symbiotic, a kind of thing that is making us better. Whereas other countries have moved ahead. So I was just wondering why. Well, there's nothing wrong with Dangote investing in oil and gas, but I was thinking that when I followed this his friend Bill Gates that tried to put over $1.5 billion on solar fuel. As at 2017, Bill Gates is investing in solar fuel and all that. So I was thinking he was thinking green. So I was thinking that this investment, not that I didn't say it was bad, it's not bad, it was good thinking because Nigeria is still natural gas, but I was thinking that should have been thinking green, move to, because we need to harness the wind in the coastal areas, in the northern part axis. So we need to, but well, I'm sure who knows, because he likes to go where people are not really used to, so to speak. Who knows? The next one is for him to harness solar in the quantum wind and stuff like even the biomass. Just true for a lot of things that are happening. So in other words, we need to proper mainstream investment, in this renewable energy source. And if you look at in developed climes, like Europe, the system there is so integrated that even there's no power outage. If there's a power outage we have 27 European countries. If there's an outage in France, those in Belgium can dare to augment it because that's an integration. So be it in the non-renewable source or renewable energy source. So I look forward to Nigeria, developing decarbonized technology, be intentional about clean energy within the context of natural gas, and also have a holistic, mapping of renewable energy sources, and now I do SWOT analysis. You begin to which one are our priorities for now. Solar, weaknesses. Solar is we have the technology, so it's an evolving technology. Wind is also there. Biomass is not something you should neglect. Of course, the green hydrogen that is latest discovery now. Renewable energy lexicon. So it's something that government should. When I hear of grid collapse, I say, it's just political. And all that. So government should learn to interrogate the risk. Even the state of technology in the grid system is obsolete. So why don't you have an efficient technology to latest and put? And how can you be using the equipment that are over 30, 40 years and still using that? Why won't the grid collapse? So moving forwards, balancing energy and climate action. I have told you that now that we should make sure that we're intentional about moving away into carbon intensive technology into low carbon resource efficient technology by using decarbonized technology in our exploitation of oil, and as well as development of renewable energy sources. That will make us to see things green. That will make Nigeria to have opportunity to access funding, climate finance windows. You don't just get money from the sale of oil alone. That's our mainstay. No, when you develop these other sources, renewable energy sources, you can be rest assured that the money spinning. I don't want to talk about the carbon market. The carbon market, that opportunity will come in, that will rain in money for Nigeria, is better imagined.
Wow, amazing. You mentioned that we need to start being intentional, and the idea of this program, there are people listening right now. I don't want anyone to feel like left out, because I still believe that there are people who are listening and probably they have businesses, they run businesses, and these their businesses run on, fossil fuel, right? Now, I want you to tell this sector of people, what are the environmental and social impacts of their continued reliance on fossil fuel in Nigeria? What are they doing to the environment? If they feel like, I'm not going to, embrace, because every time there is an increase in the price of fuel, it's obvious that it still affects a lot of Nigerians, because people, are all over social media, people are all over, stations, saying one or two things, So now, their over-dependence or their reliance on fossil fuel, what are the environmental and social impacts?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, the fossil fuel is no longer cheap. You know that?
Exactly.
The so-called stuff is no longer cheap. So I look forwad to, there's an Igbo parlance that when you piece together, it forms. I don't know. That's maybe it's the pidgin English stuff. Me piece together, it forms.
You can say it in Igbo.
Anyakata mamile obofufu. That's, I'm sorry for those who don't. Anyakata mamile obofufu. That's the most important. When you piece together, that's the pidgin. You go form. So what it means that about collaboration.
Yeah.
It's about coming to that strength, unity. That's, you could be, that strength, unity. And I look forward to most of these plazas that have generator boozing there. Exactly. You can come together to have a solar. You can have 100 kilowatt of solar mini grids, and put chairs together. And like we discussed about the bank opportunities, there are impairment windows that makes you burdensome. How can you be using generator every day 10 liters of generator? How much? You know how much 10 liters is around 15,000 naira. So for how long are you going to spend? So when you come together with the evolving technology in solar and some of the renewables, you come together, have a union. Your union must learn to be people driven. Forget about, you won't even lose their generator. There's a recycling mechanism where those generator becomes more. There's a recycling plant now. You can even, we're going to put your generator into another use. That's a circular economy. Yeah, I'm saying it here, that people won't have cost to lose. Those of you in the plaza, where in the area 10 or Jabi, or you have those of you doing business together and running generators. This is the time for your leadership to come together. You can come and discuss with the Alliance, Renewable Energy Efficiency Association Alliance. We can provide windows for you, give you, a structure, give you capacity on how to design an area for you that will, two of all of you make monthly contribution, for even a period of 10 years. So to speak. So you don't need to bother yourself. This idea of I want to go and buy a generator, everybody's doing himself. So you are polluting. And in the process of doing that, we can also design any money from effort you have made to save the environment, what we call the carbon market. All of you, all you traders. But it's a question of knowledge. We need to share that knowledge. So it's something that is doable. Other climbs, the Rwandans, the Kenyans, even our brother neighbor here, the Ghanaians have keyed into that, So please, I am happy that what's happening. The law is there to protect us. We have our Electricity Act of 2023, where you have 90% of the production of that act on renewables. We have the Climate Change Act. We have National Council on Climate Change. So these are institutions that can protect you and your investment. Of course, National Assembly does not have a Renewable Energy Committee. That has, in the 10th Assembly, we look forward to have a standalone Renewable Energy Act. So when you come into this space, you have the capacity to be part and parcel of the opportunities arising from. If you say that this estate or this mall is the green mall, you're exposing yourself to the world. You have climate finance attraction. Your leadership will help you to attract climate finance to even expand your businesses and all that. So it'll be something that move away from the status quo. Their mindset must change for us to move forward. It is doable. It's not hearsay. You don't think that climate change is fallacious. No, it's real. So there are solutions on ground that will make us, to have, what to call emission-free or low-emission, resource-efficient economy. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Now, this is actually very great, very brilliant, because I believe people who are listening can see that there is a possibility of them, migrating, comfortably, and it will actually enhance partnership and unity even among business owners. You don't have to say, okay, this is my generator, let me use it just for myself. There's a possibility of you coming together, and there's something you said which is very important. People who do this, you are putting yourself out there to the international space, that you're actually an environmental steward.
Absolutely.
You're actually doing something to save
the green ambassadors.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
You're right.
Yeah. So there are actually some misconception, because I've had a conversation with some people about climate change, and then in the course of it, discussing with some of these traders, and then you hear someone say solar energy cannot be like, in quotes, let me use in Nigerian English, NEPA light. Solar energy cannot be like generator like that. What do you have to say to this misconception about green energy?
That's the misconception is the knowledge gap. I agree with them that there are so many quacks. The quacks are in terms of standards. So people want to get into this. They think it's just something you can, buy panel, mount rooftop and all that. So that's why Standard Organization of Nigeria and MEMSA are there to regulate and certify. We're also partnering with them. We are telling our brothers in the labor market, wonderful people. okay, they're in the informal sector. People are saying they are in the informal sector. They should come into the formal sector, so they'll be trained, properly trained. And I think we're having that conversation with Alaba Market and Dube Market and some of these markets, even in Onisha and in Kano and all that. Some of these people that goes in, notable Nigerians that want to earn decent living, they are doing legal business. Amazing. But we will need to put them into the formal sector, so that they will be, and they're not averse to learning, So that's an area where the alliance is. By next year, we'll taught the whole of this country to that's what we call advocacy.
Amazing.
In trying to transit, come into this, do things in a proper way, and you will see that people will no longer laugh at us again. That the business does not last long. It's not like no, it's because we have most people there who undo that business, they lack capacity. Because of the poverty mentality, everybody want to earn a decent living, and there's no job and all that. Anything goes. But you create jobs, but you must do things. You must create standards. Okay, and there must both be certified people that at the end of the day, I was in Alaba Jonathan. You're amazing. I don't want to mention that one member from Alaba came out and built the best solar panel this in Ibeku. One of the best. It was the product of Alaba Market, and he left that sector and came into the sector. So you can imagine. I'm talking about Oxano Solar. Oxano Solar is a brand today that you cannot dispense with. So you can see if somebody can leave that space, that small cubicle, and with the knowledge you have, and you came. So, and that's why we're amazing people in Alaba Market. So we are discussing with them. They are the one control the economy of solar business in this country. They're very clear about that. So what we need to do, dot I's and cross T's, and you see it. I look forward to Nigeria in the next 10 years. I sort of have a scenario plan of in the next 5 years, most of these quacks will be dispensed with. In the next 10 years, we'll see manufacturing, instead of going to import solar panels, all those that you can see manufacturing entities sitting up here. And I'm seeing the signs are there.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for staying with us all the way. This is still Climate Fact File, and I'm Ife Onyekwere. We're discussing balancing energy demand and climate action. We have a guest in the studio who is the Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association Alliance. Was telling us on the environmental and social impact of continued reliance on fossil fuel here in Nigeria. And so he also encouraged people who are business people to come together to synergize, to partner, and have solar for running for their businesses, and it can actually serve you right, just the way you enjoy the normal light from the electricity distribution companies and the way it used to be when you use fossil fuel. But this time around, embracing green energy, what you're doing is you're putting yourself out there to actually be an environmental steward while also enjoying your electricity, and you can actually control it. I feel like for solar you can actually control it more than someone saying, okay, I want to back on the electricity distribution company of Nigeria, so I can control it. I know when to charge it. I know when it needs to be serviced.
Absolutely. If you have a battery, the control it means there in the daytime you don't need to put the battery on. At that time the natural source. And in the night you use the stored one in the battery. Okay, so but people keep saying that you remember that even within CNG, we are converting to CNG, natural gas too, and it's something that is in other words, natural gas is cleaner than the oil. So people are using CNG, in their cars. Also gas to power their house. A cylinder of gas, if it's 16,500, it can last you for 1 or 2 weeks. Wow. As against fossil fuel. So people are using gas, So I tried it in my household too. Even though I use solar, I tried it in my household. So it's something that we will call it what they call hybrid. You can use natural gas, and at night, in the daytime, you can use. So that's a hybrid system. To make sure that you reduce the emission in the environment.
Amazing. All right. I want us to talk about the Paris Agreement. What role renewable energy play in helping Nigeria, meet its climate action goal under the Paris Agreement? Because we are also part of this agreement as a country.
Yes. For want of history, I want to say that the nationally determined contribution, is what to call the backbone of the Paris Agreement. Okay. For each country, more than 198 countries acceded to reduce emission in using what to call the NDC document. Okay. The nationally determined contribution. Nigeria went to Paris Agreement in 2015 with 5 sectors presented by oil and gas, power, industry, transport, and agriculture. In the revised version of our NDC document, we added waste and water resources. So what was in effect is that, yes, in our NDC document, we said that Nigeria will be able to produce 1,250 by 2030. Produce 1,250 megawatts of renewable energy, and energy efficient sources by 2030. But what we have seen over the years after the Paris Agreement is the resurgence. A lot of people are getting into renewables. It is by making a statement of investment in renewable energy, you're only saying that yes, I'm more committed to mitigation action to reduce the emissions. So that number, 1,250 megawatts. By 2030, will overshoot it. From what has happened so far, or using most of the government institutions, what REA has also done a whole lot of investment in deployment in rural areas. I can assure you that by 2040, Nigeria should be able to be looking at 15,000 megawatts of renewable as a mainstream development. Yeah. It's encouraging now because the law is in place now. We have a lot of policy issues. People are investors that are coming in and all that. But it's not yet Eldorado, but we are getting there, so to speak. Yeah.
All right. So that contribution actually was expository for all of us. And like I said, the program is not just to get facts, but also to ensure that we're aligning with the contributions that is being made by our experts who come on this show. So right now we're going to go on another segment, and this segment is called Climate Watch. It's time to turn the spotlight on additional voices that matter in the fight against climate change. The voices we are about to hear, we're going to hear voices from key stakeholders, leaders, experts, activists. They share their perspective on pressing issues of climate change, from international organizations to grassroots movements. We're bringing you the sound bites that are shaping policies, inspiring action, and mobilizing communities towards a sustainable future. So right now, we're going to listen to the voice of Dr. Nkiruka Maduekwe, who is the Director General, CEO of National Council on Climate Change, NCCC. And once we listen to this voice, our guest is going to be reacting to her voice as regards climate issues.
As we know, climate change is an existential threat that is endangering our lives, our livelihoods, infrastructure, and the ability of the future generation to effectively exist. With the rising temperature, sea level, floods, desertification, droughts, and so on, Nigeria is dealing with a critical issue that the world is also dealing with. And we cannot talk about sustainable development without addressing climate security. And that's why we have convened this meeting. With other greenhouse gases such as methane, that even though is short-lived, but extremely harmful to our environment and to human lives. And these are the conversations we're going to be having. How do we actualize finance commitments? How do we get funding to ensure that Nigeria strengthens her resilience, builds her resilience, to be able to protect, safeguard the people from the impacts of climate change?
So I will say that I'm quite impressed with her first time outing as the DG Anthropocene at COP, and she was very definite about Nigeria's stand and indeed African stance. That in terms of climate financing, yes, they can't be talking about peanuts and all that. I like her closing statement. That is the kind of leadership, taking the bull by the horn. tell it to those negotiators and the policymakers, this is the position of Nigeria. That's just someone who had a strong character, and I commend her for that. And of course, what you have seen, what to call the challenges or the externalities of climate change. So it's good for us to articulate it. There are so much challenges that it's not something that was to treat with the levity. What he's trying to say, Africa's position is more of adaptation. We should begin to look at loss and damages, begin to look at how we can attract financing. But however, I keep saying that adaptation is like a charity. Mitigation is where the money is. Okay, so we'll take these two along in the process. Mitigation action, design, develop solar certificate projects in the clean energy space. So that will attract funding. At the end of the day, when we get that funding, we cannot channel some to the adaptation. And that's why I keep saying Africans should not be talking about adaptation alone. I don't have a problem with that, but that is the charity work. Take the two together and all that. And I think it's interesting. It's a good outing for her. Kudos to her. Thank you.
All right, so it's time for call to action, where we wrap up today's edition of Balancing Energy Demand and Climate Action. So I wanted to tell the audience who have listened to you from the beginning of this program some practical action, some practical steps we need to take now to ensure that we're part of this environmental stewardship trend.
Yeah, one of the practical steps, I'm talking within the context of energy.
Yes.
Need to develop capacity across the value chain. If you want to enter into the clean energy space, whether you want to be a designer, or even engineering, or you want to do credit writing, climate financing, you need to retrofit, be an artisan. You need to sit down, choose where you're going to fit in, and learn the trade. Learn the trade. Once you learn the trade, that is the number one solution in terms of this energy access and security. Because number two is that I look forward to see where we have a plan, a de-risking investment. Institutions must come now for treats. If the laws are in place to protect your investment, institutions must come to begin to say of a truth, I want us to, in this era of dollar volatility, I want us to, don't bother, pay us in naira, that kind of thing, so that, because the dollar has been unstable, it affects the investors. So we look at the risk institutions to show up to be part and parcel to really, protect the investors. Okay, we need to look forward to have those institutions. They are there. Then the third aspect is the policy and regulation. It's more very clear, unambiguous. There's some of the things that's policy somersaults and all that. It's something I don't want us to see in this space. You can imagine the argument of we have removed the subsidy, we have not reduced so much. Those are things that, but now it should be very, very. We don't need to see those somersaults within this space. Finally, climate risk. Climate risk, most equipments are hazardous. They are just obsolete. You're making us vulnerable to have a quick equipment that is resistant to these weathers. Okay, so we need to have up-to-date, clean technology. And a lot more. Once you have that, you have succeeded. When I talk about capacity, you have built livelihoods, improve the quality of life, and also promote sustainable development. So I think it is something that we need to. I mentioned intentional. Be very focused. Nigeria must be, whether you are in the public sector, in the private sector, the civil society, academia. These are critical. Even the community, the chief, the bailiffs, the elders, and others, everyone must be able to play in this system. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Unfortunately, we have to come to the end of the show today. It's Climate Fact File, and I want to thank our guest for his valuable insights to this program today. Remember, our guest, Professor Magnus Onuoha, is the President, Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association Alliance. And he's giving us his expertise on the area of renewable energy. And many thanks also to the executive producer of this show, Mr. Charles Carlo. And remember, climate change is not just a future challenge, it's a present reality. And each one of us has a role to play, like our guest said, in shaping a more sustainable future. Remember, small actions today can lead to big changes tomorrow. So let's take what we've learned and apply it to our daily lives. Join us next time for Climate Fact File here on People's 105.5 FM Abuja. The next voice you'll be hearing is the news by midday. I am Ife Onyekwere. Until next time, bye.